Hello, Bells Up. I'm Lacey and welcome to today's mobility focused session. We're going to work on some basic movements and breath work today. Very light and chill class compared to strength training sessions with Bells Up. You will just need a light kettlebell or dumbbell, and we're going to work through some really easy intervals of certain movements that will start with your upper back mobility, working some reaches, some breath work, and trying to loosen up the sections of our shoulders and mid-back that can be really tight from everyday life. And then we'll get more into lower body and hips in the second section today. As we go through this, I'll give you a few variations to change up the movements a bit, but do know that I want you to concentrate on moving at your range of motion and connecting your breathing to your movements. We're going to start in a quadruped position today and take a 40-second interval for some reaches. We'll do both sides. Then we'll work on some arm bars. So you will need your kettlebell for this section. After that, a little release for your head, elbow, and neck. We'll repeat that whole thing. You do get a 20-second transition, so no pressure on moving quickly today. We'll have enough time to get into every position. So I'm going to start with those quadruped reaches. So come into an all fours position with your shoulders over your wrists, with your hips over your knees. You're going to push down your left hand into the floor and then reach your right arm up, fingertips towards the ceiling. So I want this arm straight up. I don't want it to go behind you. From here, I want you to take a breath in through your nose and bring your ear towards the floor, threading your arm through your body, and then take an out breath, reaching your arm up again. We're gonna try to really get that reach, and even at this bottom part, push ourselves away. So I'm thinking of with my left hand down, pushing myself to the right, and then getting that big reach up here. Again, you do not have to move fast through this interval. Ear can go to the floor, and then we're gonna reach up. Take one more of these on your own. We'll take a 20-second transition time, and we'll go for the other side. So just go ahead, roll your wrists out a little bit. You have 20 seconds to come into this. I'm gonna obviously show you the second angle so you can see that reach through, but I'm really working on reaching and pushing myself the opposite direction as I reach to feel some expansion in my mid-back. Let's go ahead and come back to your quadruped. I'm gonna push down your opposite hand now, reach your opposite hand up, fingertips to the ceiling, and then we'll thread the arm through. So when we're at this bottom position, we'll breathe in, breathe out as we reach up, breathe in through the nose as we come down. So I'm pushing myself, rounding my upper back, and then breathing, keeping that breath going. Ear towards the floor if you can. The hips can move slightly back as you do this. Let's do one more here. You can always hold at the top if that position feels good for you. This can be a nice one to keep in your back pocket on those days where you feel like you've been on a computer a long time, you've been seated at a desk a long time, your shoulders are kind of feeling it. Okay, next up, we're gonna go ahead and come into a arm bar. So we've done these in classes before. If the weighted arm bar intimidates you or you don't feel really great in this position yet, I want you to go ahead and do this with body weight. So let's go ahead and bring our kettlebell or dumbbell towards the left side. We'll start in the fetal position with our hand wrapped around the bell. Go ahead and roll onto your back. We're going to push the bell up in 3, 2, and 1. Arm comes straight, leg comes straight on your opposite side, and you'll use your bent leg side to push yourself over. We're going to try our best to stack our shoulders and our hips so we're in one long line. Don't mind my hand on the kettlebells here. You want to make sure that you don't have stuff in your way. My hand should be flat on the floor even though it's not here. And I'm going to try to tuck my chin slightly once I'm in this position, keeping my bell over me. You can sort of turn your palm from the front to the back, keeping your eyes on the bell even though you're laying down, so your peripheral vision should be there. Pay attention to keeping your rib cage from popping out. So we want to think of almost pulling our ribs in and together. We're trying not to lean back. We're trying not to lean forward. We want to stay in a nice straight line. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth at your own speed here. We're gonna hold this about another 10 seconds, then we'll roll to our back, pull the bell down, and switch our side. Let's go 5, 4, 3, 2, go ahead, roll to your back. You're gonna grab it with the other hand, pull it down to your chest, roll yourself over. You can flip yourself to the other side, or you can pull the bell around your head. We have about that 20-second transition to get into our position here. So let's go ahead, come to the ground when you're ready. We'll roll over, hold on to our bell, come onto the back, push it up, straight leg, straight arm, and then find your second side in this arm bar. So you'll notice from the front view, my knee is coming slightly forward. I'm trying to really get my hips down, but still keep my body in one line. So again, you don't want to lean back. You don't want to lean forward too much. You want your knuckles straight up to the ceiling here. Let's concentrate on breathing on this side. If you forgot to do it on the last side, we have another round of these arm bars here, and I really think if you keep awareness of where your chin is, you can feel this a lot in your neck in a good way. If you have some tension in your neck, in your upper back, we're working on the stability in our shoulders here. We're also working on getting a nice stretch in the neck if we keep that little tuck. We're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, go ahead and roll onto your back. Let's pull the bell down to the chest, roll over to the side. So our next movement, I'm going to show you quickly in this transition. You're going to come into a child's pose position with your legs kind of wide, your booty back towards your heels. Then you're going to land with your hands out in front of you in sort of a diamond shape, elbows out to the side. Head will come down to the floor here. We're going to bring one hand behind your head, other hand in front of you. You're going to think of lifting your head into your hand, then lifting your elbow, then pushing the ground away with your opposite arm. You might have to move that arm a little bit here. You can move your lower body if you need to, bring your legs closer together, sit up a little more, whatever feels best for you in this one. We're gonna do one side, and then the second round we do this, we'll hit your other side. So let's go ahead and find that position. So arms are gonna come down, head will come to the floor. I'm gonna bring your right hand behind your head. Your left arm is on the floor. Let's go ahead, lift our head into our hand and try to push our head up into the hand. Then you're gonna lift your right elbow up as high as you can without moving. Then you're gonna push your left arm into the floor and lift yourself. You should feel a nice expansion in your upper back. Let's go ahead, bring our head down again. We're gonna breathe in, push our head into our hand, leave everything else where it is. Elbow will lift now, leave everything where it is. You're gonna push into your left arm. You can kind of move it to where you need it to be to really feel this rounding in your upper back. Let's do one more here. I'm gonna bring our head into our hand. We're gonna bring our elbow up. We're gonna breathe out, push the floor away with the left arm. Find that rounding in your upper back. Very nice. Okay, we're gonna do another round of everything here, and this time for your quadruped reach, I'm gonna have you just hold the thread the needle, and we're gonna try to feel some more expansion in that part of our back like we just did in this head, neck, elbow drill. So let's go ahead, come down to the floor in your quadruped position. I'm gonna have you reach up your left arm, fingertips to the ceiling like we did before. Now we're gonna thread it under our body and bring the left ear towards the floor. Right fingertips are gonna pull out away from you slightly, so in line with where they were. And then you're gonna use the right fingertips to push yourself back. So you should feel some breathing or some stretch in that left side of your shoulder area, upper back area. Now I want you to try to breathe into that spot. So breathe in through the nose. Fill your back with air. Breathe out through the mouth. Let's do that again. Breathe in through the nose. Let's do that one more time. Very nice, guys. Go ahead and roll out of this one. You can take a few cat-cows with your chin tucked if that feels good for you in this tiny transition period. We'll go into your opposite side in this quadruped reach with thread the needle. Okay, so let's go ahead and push down through our left hand now. You're gonna reach the right hand up towards the ceiling, fingertips really reach, and then let's let that hand come through, right ear towards the ground, left arm moves out or left fingertips move out to the side a bit, so you can use that side to push yourself away. So I'm pushing myself towards the right. Tuck your chin a little bit if you don't quite feel this in your upper back, and I want you to try to take 3 breath cycles into your back. So in through the nose, out through the mouth. Let's go again, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Imagine breathing to the sides of your rib cage. Try to relax your back muscles as you do this. Go ahead, pull that arm out. Take a few cat-cows in place, squeezing the shoulder blades together, pushing the upper back away from you as you do this. We're gonna try your arm bar. Again, each side. Arm bars, you do not need to go heavy. You can go a nice moderate weight with these. So I encourage you to find a weight that really works for you in your arm bar that you can hold and really get your breath going into your back, into the sides of your rib cage, breathing laterally. Let's go ahead, come into that position for your arm bar. Bell will come up, one leg straight, one arm straight. It should be the opposite side of your bell. Then you're gonna push yourself over into position so you're stacked here. Knuckles are straight up to the ceiling. So let's start that expansive breath work. We're gonna breathe in through our nose, laterally into the rib cage, and then breathe out through the mouth. Try to relax, tuck your chin a little bit more, relax your face. Let's do that again. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. Try to relax into this as you squeeze your kettlebell. You can turn your palms slightly in, turn your palms slightly out. Breathe in again. And take your out breath. Very good. Let's go ahead, roll onto your back. Pull the kettlebell down, roll into the fetal position, and then bring your bell to your opposite side. We'll hit your other side in your arm bar for the last time, and then we'll hit your opposite side in that head, neck, elbow drill before we start going into our hips and lower body. So let's go ahead, push your bell up, foot out, and arm out. Really flex your toes on that straight leg side, and then push yourself over. Really kind of try to get your top hip to sort of move towards the floor if you can here, and look up at your bell with the tucked chin. Let's take our breath in. Breathe out through the mouth. In breath through the nose. Out breath through the mouth. Keep your eyes on your bell, peripheral vision. Breathe in through your nose. Tuck your chin a little more, breathe out through your mouth. Very good, guys. Go ahead, roll onto your back. Ooh, I feel such a good stretch in my neck in this one. If anything, this session today can be a nice reminder to not hold our breath during some of these movements, during times that we're warming up. Kettlebell can just go off to the side for now. We're gonna go for that head, neck, and elbow drill again. So find your comfortable spot here. You can start by putting your hands on the ground with your hands in that bit of a diamond shape. This time we're gonna keep the right arm on the floor. Move your hair out of the way if you've got long hair like me. Let's bring your left hand behind your head and make sure that your chin is tucked and you're right on that base of your forehead here. Okay, we're gonna push our head up into our hand, find some expansion in our neck. Then we're gonna lift the elbow on the left side. Then we're gonna breathe out, push into the floor with the right arm, and you can kind of move it into place so you really feel connected and grounded here. Let's go down to the floor again. We're gonna push our head into our hand, get some expansion in our neck. We're gonna breathe in, and as we breathe out, lift the elbow of that left side. Take a breath in through your nose. And breathe out, push into the floor with your right side. Feel that expansion in your upper back. If your rib cage is popping out, I want you to think of pulling your ribs together here. Let's go one more rep here. We're gonna think breathing in through our nose. Breathe out, head goes into the hand. Breathe in through the nose. Elbow lifts as high as we can as we breathe out. Keep control of your rib cage. Breathe in through your nose. And then breathe out, push the ground away from you here. Very nice, guys. Head comes all the way to the floor, and you can go ahead and bring yourself up. So for our next set, you will need your light kettlebell. Again, we're gonna get a little bit into the backs of our legs, into our hips, and a tiny bit more overhead work to complete our mobility session today. In today's session, we're gonna get into your hips and a little bit in the hamstrings in the beginning of this. If you do have heel wedges today or squat wedges, you can elevate your heels for our hip pry, which might feel a little bit easier sometimes if your hips feel really tight. And you will need that kettlebell for the first movement. We're gonna take some assisted leg raises, and we're gonna use that kettlebell kind of like we just did for the arm bar, except we are not going to flip ourselves over. We're just going to lay down on our back, and we're going to use the opposite leg of the kettlebell side as kind of a mover to work stretching out the hamstring a little bit and to get some movement through our hip capsule. So go ahead and lay on your side and come into the same position that you would for the arm bar with your kettlebell going up straight over your head. So instead of rolling over from here, we're just going to stay with our foot planted on the floor and the bell raised up here. This is going to help us stabilize on this side of our body. You're going to take your opposite foot and stick it up in the air with the toes pointing back and your heel towards the ceiling. From here, I want you to work on keeping control with your core. So pushing your upper back into the floor, breathing in through the nose into the rib cage, and then as you breathe out, I want you to bring the foot down. We're just going to do that way one time. Now, as the foot is down here, I want you to breathe in and then raise the heel up. And I want you to think of taking these breath cycles as you do this. So we're going to go in as we go down, out as we go up, pushing the head into the floor. And each time you lower the leg, I want you to think of growing longer with your heel. I want you to really stretch your heel forward, pull your toes back, try to move your leg from your hip, feel that little stretch in your hamstrings, and maybe turn your toes slightly in towards the midline of your body. We don't want to have an excessive arch in your back, but your back does not have to be totally flat to the floor here. Think of pushing your upper back down and feeling your abs as the leg moves. You're going to take one more on your own here and then bring your kettlebell down. Once your leg comes to the top, you can pull it to the floor, pull the bell down, roll over to the side. So we're going to try to keep these intervals kind of similar, around 40 seconds each thing with that 20-second transition. Again, this is called an assisted leg raise. Let's go ahead and take your other side here. So we'll roll over, bell will come straight up into the air, opposite leg will come up, and then really going to work on grounding down to the floor here. You can turn your inside toe, or your big toe, slightly to the inside. Breathe in through your nose as the leg goes down, and then breathe out through your mouth as you bring the leg up. Again, we're trying to move from the hip here. Think of not reaching your head up. We want to push it into the floor. Feel some length in your hamstrings and see if you can really move that leg from your hip, initiating from your core, initiating from your hip. Really stretch your heel forward, pull your toes back. Big stretch here. You might feel a little popping in one side of your hip. That's totally normal. Maybe sometimes not the other side. I definitely get it in this side myself versus the other. And then you might feel a nice stretch in your hamstrings. Really keep pulling your toes back towards your face. You do not have to touch your leg all the way to the ground. If anything, you could touch your calf, but try to keep your heel up and try not to make your back arch to get your leg lower. We're going to be here for another 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Pull your bell down, roll yourself over. So your next movement is an optional heel elevated hip press squat, which means that you can bring your feet onto your squat wedges if you have a hard time sitting upright. If you're feeling pretty good, all you're going to do is bring your bell into your hands and then sit low into your squat using your bell to push yourself forward just like so. So go ahead and join me here. If you're someone that rounds like this with your back, in this position, elevating your heels on your wedges can help you to bring your back up slightly like this and get your chest in a more upright position. For some of us though, we might be able to get here by pushing the bell in front of us and using that counterweight from our hips. So I'm going to try to push my knees slightly out to the side here as I hold my weight and sit nice and low. I'm not holding tension here in this squat. I'm thinking of also pushing my thighs into my elbows slightly as I do this. You can kind of move to one side, move to the other. This might feel a little excruciating sometimes, so that's why those heel wedges can come into play if you have them. Just let yourself keep your soles of your feet on the floor and the heels raise up on the wedges. You're going to be here for 5, 4, 3, 2, bell will come down. You can move yourself off the wedges or just stand up and let yourself shake out a little bit. We're going to come into side plank clamshells on one side for the next set. And these are a favorite in Bells of Studio classes because we can work internal and external hip rotation. We can also work our core as we do this. So we're going to come into a side plank with our wrist in line with our elbow, our shoulder over our elbow, and we're going to push the ground away, lifting up the chest. From here, we're going to think of lifting up our top hip and finding our obliques,
pulling our hips through and then lifting the top leg. We'll flex the foot and turn the knee down to touch the opposite knee and then turn it up. So go ahead and join me here. I have my left arm down right now, so next round I'm going to take my right arm down. We're only doing this one time each side. I want you to think of this turning down and then turning open situation here without your top hip moving back behind you or too forward. So we're gonna try to keep, maybe put your hand on your hip and see if you can keep the integrity of that hand not moving too much. Still hold your side plank. You don't wanna drop down like this. You're pushing the ground down actively, but we're really turning from our hip here. Give me 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Very nice, guys. We're gonna hit a half kneeling windmill next. Whichever arm was down, so for me that was my left, I'm gonna put my kettlebell in that side. If you're not using a bell for this today, you're just gonna bring that arm up, and we're gonna work on here, shifting our hip back as we slightly rotate and then coming down to the floor. If you've done these before, you can take the standing version. And if you don't feel confident yet with the weight, again, just do this with body weight. So let's go ahead, bring our weight into our left hand or whichever hand you just had on the ground for your clamshell. We're gonna look up at our bell. You're gonna think of shifting your hip back into the side and then bringing your opposite hand down towards the instep of your front foot. From here, you take a breath in and use your feet pushing the ground down to come up. And then you can take that rep again. So you can do as many of these as feels good. You can even just hold here in this position for the entire time. What you're looking for is your shoulders being in line, and when you come up, being able to rotate your body and keep control of your arm. So we don't want the arm coming out to the side like this as you rotate. Don't mind some puppy barking out there in the background. Okay, so go ahead, finish out this interval. We're gonna take your breath in and breath out. You can go ahead and bring your bell down in 3, in 2, and in 1. Okay, so we have one more round to go for this set. We're gonna hit those assisted leg raises each side. We'll repeat the hip pie squat and then do the opposite side for the clamshell and that half kneeling windmill. So let's go ahead and find our position for our assisted leg raise. Go ahead, lay down on your back. We're gonna push our kettlebell up into the air. I have mine in my left hand, pushing my upper back and my head into the ground, bringing my leg up on the right, pulling my toes back. I'm gonna paint the air and maybe touch my calf to the floor as I bring that leg down. Remember, again, we don't wanna lift the rib cage too much in order to make that range of motion happen. Think more about growing long with your leg and connecting your breathing here. So I'm gonna breathe in as my leg goes down, take my out breath as that leg goes up. You might try turning your toes in a little bit if you feel like internal rotation is an opportunity for you. Some of you might be able to even try turning your toes out a little bit if external hip rotation feels like it's an opportunity for you. And really think, try to reach your heel as far as you can here. Pull your shoulder into the floor on the kettlebell side. You're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, foot comes down, bell comes down. We're gonna roll ourselves over, push ourselves up, and let's take your opposite sides. You can just flip your kettlebell around to the other side of your bod. We're gonna roll over and pick it up. So go ahead, find your bottom hand on that bell, roll onto your back, push your bell up, push down your right foot, pull down your right shoulder. We're gonna lift up the left leg, pull the toes back towards our face, and then bring that leg down. Left side can be doing whatever feels good for you, pushing into the floor. I kind of like pushing my upper arm into the floor here. Some people like really grounding down this way. So we're gonna think paint the floor, paint the floor, paint the floor with, or I should say the sky and the ceiling and the wall in front of you with your heel, with that foot. Try to really reach out of your hip and find that leg moving from the hip capsule here. Pull your shoulder into the floor on the right side. Remember, breathing is so important here. Do not hold your breath. We breathe in, we take our out breath as the leg comes up. Maybe 2 more on your own here. And then we will switch back into that hip pry, which hopefully will feel a little better this set. Go ahead, bring your leg down after your next rep, pull the kettlebell down toward your chest, roll over onto your side and push yourself up. So hip pry, Round two, maybe you try to keep your heels flat on the floor this time if you used a squat wedge. You can also do a little gym hack by flipping some kettlebells over and putting your heels on the bells if you don't have wedges. That works really well. Just make sure they're about the same size handle. Or you can do that with weight plates too. Just make sure, again, they're the same size. You're just gonna put your feet on those. So let's go ahead and find our pry squat. I'm just gonna do a little halvesy squat there and then sit down into this. I'm gonna go kind of forward with my toes this time and see if I can really work on a little more internal rotation. That's my opportunity there. So I feel this a little more on the outsides of my hips when I do that. I'm pretty open here. I feel this a little more in my groin when I turn my toes out a lot. So just experiment in the different places with your toes and see where you're at. You can move again side to side. You can make little circles here. Just try to breathe into your hips. And if you are someone that's folding forward like this is not where I want you to be. So you can either try, if that's not happening, doing some easy goblet squats, or I would want you again to elevate your heels. Another option for this that you could take is practicing just sitting down to your lowest depth of the goblet squat and then coming up, the place where you keep your chest open the best. We're gonna be here for another 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Very good, guys. Go ahead and find your positioning for the side plank. We're gonna use this transition time to actually come into that side plank. So we're gonna take our top hip and bring it over. We're gonna push down through the elbow. We're gonna really feel our oblique here. Then pull your hips through, keeping all this tight. Lift yourself up, lift up your chest, lift up your top leg, and let's go knee to knee. We're gonna lift that knee up. We're gonna come down, push the ground down, turn, lift that knee up. So we're trying to, again, rotate from our hips, keep our entire person in one locked and loaded straight line. So we're not moving our chest, moving our body here. We're just thinking of moving from the hip, holding that plank position. You guys are doing such a great job here. We're gonna be here another about 15 seconds. So I want you to really concentrate on this. If this is too much in the side plank, you can still work that clamshell position here, but I want you to really concentrate on the knee facing up, trying to get the knee to face down without moving your body too much. Do the best that you can here for 3, 2, and 1. We've made it to our last motion. I think it's funny that my puppy is being like the peanut gallery out there doing those slight little barks, has not come to visit. Like the audacity right there, right? Okay, so for your half kneeling windmill, right leg will come forward this time. Bell comes into the right side. You can assisted press it up. I want you to imagine you're pushing your back heel back, your front foot down as you get your rotation and as you come up out of this position. Let's go ahead and start in 3, 2, and 1. So I rotate here, reach down towards my instep. If you're kind of unclear as to where your instep is, if this isn't working for you, do this without a weight. And then once you get into a stable position, you can take your eyes down and just make sure that you're sort of in line there. Your arm isn't too far in front of your toes. It's not way behind you. You can also use this leg to help kind of guide you to the floor here. Breathe in as you're at the bottom, breathe out, and then as you decide to come up, make sure you take an inhale and then an exhale to help you come all the way back to your stable position at the top. The big thing here is trying not to let your hip on your bell side shift out to the side. So we're not really doing a Turkish get-up position here. We're thinking of that hip going back. You're gonna feel that a little more in your groin. Go ahead and bring your bell down in 3, 2, and 1. There she is. Hello. She decided to join us for the last couple minutes here. You guys finished your mobility set. Very good today. And these classes, they aren't totally necessary unless you're feeling super tight, but they also can be really good mentally and give you a nice little break. So I would say save a class like this, maybe favorite this one for a time that you're just feeling kind of tight. But if you're keeping up with your sessions, if you're weight training regularly, moving regularly, you are getting a lot of mobility work just from doing those sessions too. So this is like a little cherry on top for a lot of the kettlebell work, weight training work, and other activities that you're up to. Thank you so much for joining me for this session today. I will see you guys in your next strength class. Remember, get real, get strong, bells up. Bye.